Most men make the same fatal mistake. They assume a woman's looks, charm, and words are enough proof of her value. And then they wonder why they end up in toxic, draining relationships that leave them broken. The truth? She was showing you who she was all along. You just didn't know how to see it. The difference between wasting years and protecting your future comes down to this: testing her character before you commit. And in this video, I'll show you 5 tests that no woman can fake. These 5 tests will reveal if she's truly worth your time or if you should walk away before she destroys you. As a psychologist and relationship coach, I've spent years helping men untangle the damage caused by choosing the wrong partner. And I promise you, every single case had one thing in common. They ignored the early signs. That's why I create videos like this. So, subscribe, like, and share your own story in the comments. What was the biggest red flag you overlooked? I read every single one, and your story may help another man wake up. Now, let's break down why testing is the only way to truly protect yourself. Most men step into relationships blind. You meet a woman, you're taken by her looks, her charm, maybe the way she makes you feel in the first few weeks, and you stop there. You assume that what you see on the surface is who she really is. That's where the biggest mistake begins. Attraction blinds you, and in that blindness, you hand over your time, your money, your energy, and eventually your peace of mind, without ever checking if she deserves it. I've seen men waste years this way. Picture a man who invests 2 full years in a woman who keeps him around as an option. She enjoys his attention, his effort, his resources, but deep down, she never planned to truly commit. He only realizes this after he's drained, emotionally and financially. That man didn't fail because he wasn't enough. He failed because he never tested her. Testing a woman is not about playing games. It's about self-preservation. It's about knowing if she brings more value than just temporary excitement. Think of it like hiring someone for the most important role in your life. Would you bring them on without an interview, without a trial run? Of course not. Yet most men do exactly that in love, and the cost is always higher than they expect. Here's the truth that hurts. Women are constantly evaluating men, whether they admit it or not. But too many men never think to evaluate back. They wait to be chosen. They hope they're good enough. That mindset is why you end up trapped in dynamics where you are the one giving, and she is the one taking. The shift starts when you flip the script. You are not the applicant. You are not waiting for her approval. You are the one holding the standards. You are the one deciding if she measures up. Testing isn't about being cruel. It's about protecting your future from years of regret. When you finally understand that, something powerful happens. The fear of losing her disappears, and the question changes. It's no longer, will she choose me? It becomes, do I even want her in my life after I test her character? That shift, right there, is where you start to take back control. Now let's get practical. These are the basic tests that every man should run on a woman before giving her his time, his energy, or his heart. They are simple, but the way she responds will tell you more about her character than weeks of small talk. Number 1. The respect test. Ask her for something small. It could be meeting you at a certain location, bringing a book you mentioned, or respecting the time you agreed on. Her reaction tells you everything. If she does it with ease, she respects you and the interaction. If she rolls her eyes, makes excuses, or acts like you're asking for too much, what she's really saying is that your time and effort are worth less than hers. That is not respect. It's entitlement. Number 2, the flexibility test. Change the plan slightly and watch how she handles it. Life is full of unpredictability. A woman who can adapt to a small change, like meeting at a different cafe or adjusting the schedule, shows that she's easygoing and cooperative. But if she throws a fit over something minor, imagine what happens when real challenges appear. That's not flexibility, that's fragility. Number 3, the investment test. A relationship is supposed to be mutual, not one-sided. Pay attention to whether she's willing to invest effort, time, or even small resources into the connection. Does she ever suggest a place, contribute to a date, or make a gesture that shows she's not just there to consume? If everything is always on you, planning, paying, providing, that's not partnership. That's her using you as a service provider. Number 4, the boundary test. State a clear preference or a personal limit. Maybe it's how often you're available for calls or how you don't tolerate disrespectful jokes. Watch if she respects it or tries to push past it. A woman who can honor boundaries will build with you. A woman who constantly tests, manipulates, or pressures you to bend shows you early on that she doesn't care about your standards, only her own comfort. Number 5, the gratitude test. Do something thoughtful and see if she acknowledges it. Gratitude isn't about grand speeches. It's about showing appreciation for the effort you put in. A simple thank you, a smile, or a gesture back. If she treats your effort as if it's owed to her, if she never expresses appreciation, understand this. The longer you stay, the more she will drain without giving anything in return. Here's the beauty of these tests. A woman with genuine interest and good character won't even realize she's being tested. She'll naturally pass because respect, flexibility, investment, boundaries, and gratitude are part of who she is. But if she fails, she'll fail quickly, and that saves you months or years of wasted energy. Remember, these tests aren't traps. They are windows. They reveal whether you're dealing with a partner who will stand beside you, or someone who sees you as nothing more than an opportunity to exploit. Once you've run the basic tests, it's time to go deeper. The advanced tests expose traits that women can usually hide in the honeymoon phase. These are the moments where masks slip and the truth comes out. Number 1, the service test. Watch how she treats people who can do nothing for her. Waiters, drivers, employees, even strangers. If she is kind, respectful, and patient, that tells you her character runs deeper than surface charm. But if she is rude, dismissive, or condescending, understand this. One day, when she no longer needs you, that same treatment will come your way. Number 2, the stress test. Life will test you both with problems, setbacks, and disappointments. How does she react when the unexpected hits? If she faces challenges with composure, problem-solving, or at least honesty, she's showing maturity. But if her first instinct is to explode, blame others, or spiral into drama, that's not temporary. It's her default wiring. And if she can't handle small storms, she will sink you both in bigger ones. Number 3, the contribution test. Ask yourself a simple question. Does she add value to your life? Or does she mainly take? Contribution doesn't always mean money. It could be her energy, encouragement, her ability to make your day better, or even practical support. A woman who contributes makes you stronger. A woman who only consumes drains you, leaving you weaker with every passing month. Number 4, the loyalty test. Pay attention to how she speaks about you when you're not in the room. Do her friends hear her praising you, respecting you, showing that she's proud to be with you? Or does she criticize, mock, or downplay you behind your back? A loyal woman builds your reputation in private. A disloyal one undermines you the moment you're not around. Number 5, the consistency test. This is where many men get fooled. Listen carefully. Words are cheap. Anyone can say the right things early on. The real measure is consistency. Does her behavior align with what she promised? Does she follow through? Or does she live in contradictions? A woman who is inconsistent will keep you in a cycle of confusion, always hoping she'll become who she said she was, but never seeing it happen. These advanced tests matter because they cut through performance. In the early stages, everyone is on their best behavior. But no one can fake kindness to strangers forever. No one can fake loyalty when pressure comes. No one can fake contribution when real life demands it. That's why these tests reveal who she truly is. The bottom line is simple. A woman with strong character doesn't just pass these tests, she embodies them. The rest will eventually expose themselves, and your job is to catch it early before you've invested more than you can afford to lose. Running the tests is only half the battle. The real power comes from knowing how to read her reactions, because the way she responds under pressure, even in small ways, reveals her true level of interest, respect, and long-term potential. Let's break it down into 4 clear categories. A high-interest, good character response is the gold standard. This is the woman who doesn't just comply with your requests, she embraces them. You ask her to meet at a certain place, she shows up on time, maybe even brings something extra. You test her flexibility, and she laughs off the change, enjoying the spontaneity. You set a boundary, and she respects it, sometimes even thanking you for being clear. These are the women who add value effortlessly, because it's who they are. With her, life feels lighter, not heavier. A moderate interest response is far more common. She'll do the things you ask, but only at the minimum level. She won't resist, but she also won't add extra effort. She respects some boundaries, but occasionally pushes just to see if you'll stay consistent. She invests when asked, but rarely initiates. This kind of woman isn't terrible, but she's not fully in. She's lukewarm. And a lukewarm partner becomes a long-term burden, because you'll always feel like you're pulling her along rather than walking together. A low-interest response is where most men waste years of their lives. This is the woman who negotiates every request, delays simple things, or constantly makes excuses. She doesn't respect your boundaries and instead argues with them. She expects you to do all the planning, all the investing, all the effort, while she gives little to nothing in return. She might still enjoy your attention, but she doesn't value you. Men stay with women like this because they confuse attention with affection. But make no mistake, this woman has already categorized you as low value. And then there's the explosive response. This one is the loudest, clearest signal to run immediately. When a woman reacts to a reasonable boundary with anger, when she interprets a simple request as an attack, when she turns minor tests into full-blown drama, she's showing you exactly what life with her will be like. Explosive responses don't get better over time. They escalate. A woman who punishes you for having standards will turn your future into a cycle of chaos and emotional warfare. Here's the truth. One explosive reaction tells you more than 100 sweet words. Most men ignore it, hoping it was just a bad day. Don't make that mistake. A single uncontrolled outburst in the face of reasonable expectations is all the proof you need to walk away. Because if she can't respect your tests now, she will never respect your standards later. Let's talk about the biggest mistake men make when it comes to testing women. It isn't choosing the wrong test. It isn't forgetting the steps. The fatal mistake is refusing to test at all. Why? Because deep down, too many men are terrified of losing female attention. This fear is called a scarcity mindset. It's the belief that opportunities with women are rare, that if you push back, if you set standards, if you walk away, you may never get another chance. Men trapped in scarcity accept poor behavior, excuse disrespect and tolerate chaos because they're afraid this woman might be their only option. That fear turns them from leaders into followers, from choosers into beggars. And the more desperate you act, the faster her respect for you evaporates. I've watched countless men fall into this trap. They see red flags. They feel the disrespect. They know she's failing their unspoken tests. But instead of acting, they tell themselves stories. She'll change. It's not that bad. At least I'm not alone. What they don't realize is that every time they ignore their own standards, they teach her one thing: she can do whatever she wants, and he'll still stay. Now let's flip the frame. An abundance mentality is the exact opposite. It's not arrogance, it's reality. There are millions of women in the world. Many of them would be thrilled to be with a man of discipline, standards, and value. When you understand that, the fear of loss disappears. You stop seeing her as the prize. You start recognizing that you are the prize. Here's the ultimate shift. Power in relationships doesn't come from clinging. It comes from walking away. When you have the courage to leave a woman who fails your tests, you send a message louder than words. You prove to her and to yourself that you will not compromise your dignity for attention. That single decision transforms how women treat you and how you treat yourself. Never forget this. The true strength of a man isn't measured by how long he can endure disrespect. It's measured by how quickly he can cut it off and move forward. The moment you stop fearing the loss of one woman is the moment you gain control over every relationship in your life. There are times when testing isn't about negotiation, patience, or giving her more chances. There are times when a failed test means one thing only: leave immediately. Because certain traits aren't quirks, they're warnings of long-term disaster. If you ignore them, you're not being kind. You're being reckless with your own future. The first is serious personality dysfunction. Women who display traits of extreme volatility, manipulation, or narcissism will create chaos no matter how much love or effort you pour in. These aren't phases. They are ingrained patterns that intensify under stress. Staying with her doesn't heal her. It only breaks you. The second is victim mentality. A woman who constantly blames external factors for her life, who never takes accountability, will eventually assign you the role of caretaker. You'll become responsible for her happiness, her failures, her every disappointment, and no matter how much you give, it will never be enough. The third is addiction. Whether it's substances, compulsive behaviors, or even social media obsession, addiction takes priority over everything, including you. If her loyalty is split between you and her addiction, you will always lose. The fourth is financial irresponsibility. Watch how she handles money. A woman who overspends, lives in debt, or feels entitled to your resources without contributing will drain not only your wallet, but also your peace of mind. Financial chaos is one of the fastest ways to destroy a man's stability. The fifth is deep family dysfunction that she refuses to confront. Everyone carries some scars, but if she brings unresolved trauma into the relationship without any effort to heal, it becomes your burden. Her battles become your daily life, and her chaos becomes the foundation of your home. Here's the truth men avoid. No amount of patience, money, or sacrifice can turn these traits into stability. You cannot fix what she refuses to face. The fantasy that love will change her is the lie that keeps men stuck in miserable, destructive relationships. Remember this line and let it burn into your memory. Beauty does not erase dysfunction. No matter how attractive she is, no matter how strong the chemistry feels, none of it compensates for patterns that will ruin your life. The bravest thing a man can do isn't holding on. It's walking away before he loses himself. At this point, the message should be crystal clear. Testing women isn't about manipulation, cruelty, or playing games. It's about survival. It's about clarity. It's about protecting yourself from years of wasted time, from financial ruin, from emotional collapse. Because when you test, you see reality. And reality, no matter how uncomfortable, is always better than illusion. When you apply these tests with discipline, you stop being the desperate man hoping to be chosen. You stop being the man who compromises his dignity for attention. Instead, you become selective. You become a man with standards. You become the one who decides who earns access to your life. That's when everything changes, because women can sense it instantly. A man who tests, who enforces, who walks away when necessary radiates strength. And strength is always respected. But here's the brutal truth. Most men will hear this, nod their heads, maybe even feel the sting of recognition and still do nothing. They'll keep ignoring red flags. They'll keep clinging to women who fail every test. They'll keep hoping that love alone can turn dysfunction into harmony. And those men will pay the price. You don't have to. The choice is yours. You can continue down the same road, repeating the same patterns, or you can draw the line today. You can take these tests, use them, and finally take back control. Don't wait until your life is in pieces. Don't wait until your confidence is shattered. Don't wait until you've given years to the wrong woman. Test early. Test consistently. And never apologize for protecting your future. If this message hits you hard, it's supposed to. That's how growth begins. Now, if you want more real-world tools to keep your power and build relationships on your terms, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Your engagement makes sure more men hear the truths that algorithms try to bury. Remember this, you are not the applicant. You are not waiting for approval. You are the prize. Start living like it. What if the woman you trust most isn't who she seems? What if her loyalty, her affection, even her respect is just a performance when you're around? Too many men confuse words for truth and attention for love, and the cost is brutal. Wasted time, broken trust, and years you can't get back. The harsh reality is that character doesn't reveal itself in romantic gestures or sweet words. It reveals itself when no one's watching and when she doesn't need you anymore. And here's the secret. There are only 2 silent tests that cut through all the noise. 2 hidden signals that expose who she really is beneath the surface. Once you learn them, you'll never mistake convenience for commitment again. Let's break down those 2 tests before you risk giving your heart to the wrong woman. As a psychologist and relationship coach, I've worked with countless men who gave years of their lives to women who looked perfect on the surface. But the truth came out when they least expected it. Don't let that be your story. Subscribe, like this video, and share your own experience in the comments. Have you ever trusted someone only to discover later it was just a performance? Because what I'm about to reveal will help you see past the act and recognize the real markers of character. Men don't get destroyed by obvious betrayal. They get softened by comfort. You've been trained to read love by the easy metrics, sweet words, affectionate gestures, and how smooth everything feels when life isn't throwing punches. That's why smart men still miss the truth. You're measuring the weather, not the climate. You're grading performance in ideal conditions and assuming that equals character. It doesn't. Here's the psychological trap. In comfort, anyone can perform. Attention is cheap when there's no friction. Affection is abundant when there's no cost. Even accountability looks noble when nothing is at stake. Those signals seduce you because they confirm what you want to believe. She's warm, we vibe, we're good. But warmth and vibe are states, not standards. And states lie. Impression management turns a lot of adults into part-time actors. We all curate. We all polish. She might not even be malicious. She's human. When there's an audience, we all tighten up our behavior. When the audience leaves, our defaults return. That's why the real read is never what she does when the moment is lovely. It's what she repeats when the moment is neutral. Comfort hides, but silence reveals. If you keep evaluating her by compliments, cuddles, and curated weekends, you'll overvalue chemistry and undervalue character. Chemistry tells you how good the time is. Character tells you how safe the future is. The men who get blindsided confuse relief with reliability. Relief feels like Finally, someone who gets me. Reliability sounds boring in comparison. Patterns, principles, consistency. But that's what carries you when life tilts. So what should you actually look at? Not debates, not dramatic tests, not trap questions. Look for behavior in the spaces with no scoreboard, no likes, no eyes, no immediate prize. When there's nothing to gain and no one to impress, people default to who they are. That's why I'm going to give you 2 silent tests in a moment. 2 places where her real baseline shows through without a speech, a selfie, or a performance. Before we go there, I need you to drop 2 habits that sabotage you. First, stop treating suspicion and discernment like the same thing. Suspicion is fear, looking for evidence. Discernment is wisdom, collecting data. You're not a detective, you're a witness. Second, stop arguing with words and start auditing patterns. Words are forecasts. Patterns are weather records. If her record contradicts her forecast, believe the record. Here's a reframe that will save you years. Character isn't a promise. It's a pattern under 2 conditions, no audience and no incentive. If she stays aligned when the spotlight is off and stays respectful when you're no longer a resource, you're not guessing anymore. You're seeing. I can already hear the pushback. Isn't this cold? Isn't love about trust? Yes, trust that has been earned by consistent evidence. I'm not asking you to police her. I'm asking you to protect you. You've paid for too many illusions with your peace. You don't need to test a good woman with games. You simply need to notice what's already true when no one is clapping and when nothing is owed. So the plan is simple. We'll anchor your attention on 2 quiet checkpoints and let reality do the talking. No drama, no traps, just clear lenses. If she's the real thing, these moments will confirm it and deepen your respect. If she isn't, they'll surface the mismatch early, before you invest the parts of your life you can't get back. Now let's move from theory to practice. The first silent test is where most men never look. How she handles freedom when no one is watching. That's where loyalty stops being an outfit and starts, or stops, being a code. When men hear the word freedom, most think it's a gift. But in relationships, freedom is the stage where masks fall. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Some women confuse freedom with permission. They treat unmonitored moments like an open bar for attention. The problem isn't that she has space. The problem is what she does with it. See, loyalty isn't a necklace she wears to dinner or a caption she posts under your picture. Loyalty is either stitched into her character or stapled onto her image, and the difference shows when no one is watching. Out in public, it's easy to look committed, smiling, affectionate, maybe even bragging about you to her friends. That's performance. But when the door closes, does she still live by the same standard? Or does she crack the window just wide enough for validation to slip in from another man? Let me give you a story, because abstract ideas don't hit as hard as lived moments. James is 43, divorced, finally dipping back into dating after years on his own. Through mutual friends, he meets a woman who checks all the boxes on paper. Charming, affectionate, and vocal about how much she values him. In public, she beams when he's around. She holds his arm, laughs at his jokes, makes him feel like he's the center of her world. But James is observant. He notices subtle shifts whenever she's out with her girlfriends or traveling alone for work. Her phone gets tucked away faster. Conversations end abruptly if he walks into the room. Harmless? Maybe. But one night he sees a notification flash, just enough to read a line of a message from another man. Nothing explicit, nothing incriminating, just enough to make him question why it was hidden. When he casually asks about her weekend, she dodges, changes topics, and paints the picture of a perfect night out. That's when James realizes something critical. Her loyalty glows in the spotlight but flickers in the dark. Around him, she's polished. Away from him, there are cracks. She isn't betraying him outright, but she's entertaining little doors she wouldn't want him to see. And that's the point. True loyalty doesn't depend on whether you'll find out. It depends on whether she values the bond as sacred, even when it would be easy to bend the rules. Now let's zoom out. James's situation isn't rare. Most men never check the difference between public loyalty and private loyalty because they're too busy enjoying the show. They take the outfit at face value and never ask if there's a code beneath it. But here's the raw test. Does she act the same when the world isn't clapping? If she only performs loyalty when it benefits her image, that's not loyalty, it's branding. This doesn't mean you stalk, spy, or grill her with suspicion. That's insecurity, not wisdom. What it does mean is paying attention to her baseline. How does she handle freedom? Does she treat commitment as a cage she can escape when unsupervised, or as a principle she honors regardless of audience? One answer gives you stability, the other gives you chaos delayed. Men, you need to understand. Freedom doesn't create betrayal. It only exposes it. If betrayal is in her, freedom is the stage where it walks out. If integrity is in her, freedom becomes proof. It's that simple. Don't complicate it. Here's the positive takeaway. The kind of woman worth building with doesn't see commitment as chains. She sees it as alignment with her own values. Whether you're in the room or 1,000 miles away, her behavior matches her words. You don't have to second guess. You don't have to chase reassurance. Her consistency is the reassurance. James walked away, not in anger, but in clarity. And that clarity saved him from years of confusion. You owe yourself the same standard. Observe her freedom, not with paranoia, but with open eyes. Because if she protects what's sacred when no one's watching, you've got something rare. If not, you've got a warning. Let's push deeper into the first test, because spotting freedom isn't just about catching slips. It's about understanding the difference between an outfit and a code. I call it loyalty on the outside versus loyalty on the inside. And if you don't learn to distinguish the two, you'll confuse performance for principle. Here's what I mean. Loyalty as an outfit is presentation. She puts it on when it's convenient, when friends are watching, when family is around, when you're close enough to notice. She shows the right moves, affectionate words, loyal signals, maybe even public declarations. It looks good, it feels good, but it's conditional. The moment there's no audience, the outfit comes off. Her behavior shifts because the purpose of the loyalty was never about you. It was about how she appeared. Now, loyalty as a code is different. A code is internal. It's not about performance. It's about principle. She doesn't wear loyalty. She lives it. She doesn't need someone clapping to keep her consistent. Her integrity isn't determined by circumstances. It's anchored in values. And that's what makes her rare. Because most people, men and women, don't operate from a code. They operate from context. They adjust their behavior to the room instead of holding the room to their standard. Think of it like this. An outfit comes off when the crowd leaves. A code stays on even in the dark. And that's why it matters for you. A man who trusts the outfit will always be surprised later. A man who waits for the code will be secure. Psychology has a name for this: impression management. It's the tendency to present the best version of ourselves when we know eyes are on us. That's not evil. It's human. But the problem is when impression management replaces authenticity. If her loyalty is an act designed to impress, it will always fade in private. If it's rooted in her values, it won't matter whether she's praised or unseen. She'll treat the bond as sacred because she is sacred, not because someone is grading her. So how do you, as a man, test this without falling into paranoia? You don't have to interrogate. You don't have to stalk. You simply observe consistency. Does she shift depending on who's watching? Does her tone change in front of friends versus when you're alone? Are her boundaries stable, whether you're in the room or not? Over time, Consistency tells you everything words can't. Here's the kicker. A woman who lives by a code doesn't fear being caught. She's not performing. She's aligned. And when you find that kind of alignment, you stop wondering. You stop overanalyzing texts, scrolling for clues, or seeking reassurance. Her life reassures you. That's the kind of peace men rarely talk about, but deeply crave. Don't settle for the outfit. Outfits fade. Outfits can be borrowed. Outfits can be styled to impress. A code is permanent. A code is chosen. A code is proven by repetition, not by applause. And that's why I'll leave you with this line. Integrity is what you do when the door is closed. If she's solid there, she'll be solid anywhere. If she's not, no amount of public loyalty will protect you. There's a second silent test that most men completely overlook. It doesn't show up when you're her provider, her rock, her emotional anchor. It shows up the moment she realizes she doesn't need you anymore. That's when the mask either stays on because it's who she is, or it falls off because the role has been fulfilled. Here's why this test matters. Some women's kindness is tied to benefit. Their patience, their affection, even their respect is fueled by what they're receiving. As long as you're helping her, supporting her, filling gaps in her life, she treats you with warmth. But once she finds her footing, once she's stable financially, emotionally, or socially, the temperature changes. You're no longer essential. And how she handles that transition tells you everything. Let me show you with a story. Michael is 51. After years of being single, he starts dating a woman who, at first, seems deeply appreciative. She leans on him emotionally, calls him after work to decompress, looks to him for reassurance. She also benefits from his stability. He covers dinners, helps her navigate tough decisions, and becomes a steady presence in her life. Michael feels valued, maybe even needed, and that feels good. For a man his age, stepping back into dating, being needed feels like proof of purpose. But then things shift. As months go by, she lands a new job, reconnects with her social circle, and builds a stronger financial base. With her independence growing, Michael notices something. Her tone changes. She cancels plans more often. Conversations feel rushed. When he expresses a need or boundary, she sighs, acts inconvenienced, or even gets irritated. The same man who once felt like her anchor now feels like background noise. Michael doesn't explode. He pays attention. He realizes her respect was tied to her need. When she needed him, she was kind. When she didn't, she was careless. That realization hit harder than any breakup line because it showed him the truth. Her affection was conditional. It wasn't love, it was convenience. This is where most men struggle. They hold on, hoping the warmth returns, bargaining with themselves. Maybe she's just stressed, maybe I'm overthinking. But denial doesn't change patterns. What Michael learned, painfully but clearly, is that the way a woman treats you when she no longer needs you is the sharpest mirror of her soul. It strips away incentives, reveals priorities, and shows you whether she valued you or simply the role you played. Now, don't mistake this test as doom. There are women who pass it beautifully. They don't rewrite history just because their circumstances change. They don't turn cold because they've outgrown dependence. Instead, they stay consistent. They may not need you, but they still respect you. They still acknowledge what you've built together. They treat your presence as a choice, not as a burden. That's grace. That's character. And when you meet a woman like that, you've found someone who loves from value, not from necessity. So here's the warning and the wisdom. Watch the transition. Notice how she acts when the dependency is gone. If she discards kindness once she doesn't need your resources, you've just seen her truest form. If she maintains respect even in independence, you've just seen something rare. Don't confuse temporary gratitude with permanent character. gratitude fades. Character doesn't. Men, you need to ask yourself, are you with someone who values your essence or your utility? The answer is in the silence after her needs are met. You don't have to test it artificially. Life will do it for you. Just be wise enough to notice when it happens. I'll leave you with this line. The way she treats you when you're no longer necessary. That's the sharpest mirror of her soul. Look into it, because that reflection tells you more about your future than any sweet word or romantic gesture ever could. Let's tie everything together. After watching how she handles freedom and how she treats you when she no longer needs you, there's a final layer of clarity, the difference between love and convenience. This is where most men get burned, not because they didn't see the signs, but because they misread them. Love, at its core, doesn't change when the benefits change. If a woman respects you, she respects you whether you're paying the bill or not. If she honors you whether you're the safety net or simply her partner. Love sustains itself when external incentives fade. It doesn't weaken when the perks disappear. That's what makes it love. Convenience, on the other hand, is transactional. It thrives when you're useful. It thrives when you're filling roles, provider, therapist, rescuer. But once those roles are no longer required, convenience dries up. The woman who loved you for convenience doesn't mistreat you out of cruelty. She simply has no use for the dynamic anymore. And that's what hurts most men, realizing they weren't loved for who they are, but for the benefits attached. Here's the good news. You can spot this difference without running experiments or playing games. Life naturally gives you tests. All you have to do is pay attention. When there's nothing to gain, does she still show respect? When you're not in a position to solve her problem, does she still treat you with warmth? When the spotlight isn't on, does her attitude toward you remain consistent? Those are the checkpoints. You don't need drama. You don't need suspicion. You just need observation. This is where discernment separates men who suffer endlessly from men who protect their peace. You don't have to panic when you see affection fade under convenience. You don't have to beg for love that was never real. You simply have to tell the truth. This wasn't love. It was a transaction. And then you step away with clarity, not confusion. Let me make this practical. Stop rewarding surface-level loyalty. Stop mistaking kindness in public for commitment in private. Stop assuming gratitude equals devotion. Gratitude is temporary. Values are permanent. If you want lasting respect, you need to align with someone who lives by values, not someone who chases benefits. Here's the punchline I want you to burn into your memory. Benefits can buy affection, but only values sustain respect. And respect is the oxygen of a relationship. Without it, the bond suffocates, no matter how much chemistry or history you share. So the real question isn't, does she love me now? The real question is, will she still honor me when there's nothing to gain? If the answer is yes, you've found a woman whose character is deeper than circumstance. If the answer is no, you've just saved yourself years of wasted time. Either way, you win, because clarity is a victory. When you strip away the noise, the selfies, the words, and the weekend highs, it all comes down to two silent tests. How she handles freedom when no one is watching, and how she treats you when she doesn't need you anymore. Those are the moments that reveal her true character, not the curated ones, not the rehearsed ones. Because think about it, anyone can act loyal when eyes are on them. Anyone can play affectionate when they're leaning on you. But real loyalty shows when there's no reward, no spotlight, no incentive. That's when you discover if you've been loved or leveraged, valued or used. This isn't about living in suspicion. It's about living with wisdom. Suspicion makes you paranoid. Wisdom makes you prepared. The difference is subtle but life-saving. A suspicious man chases shadows. A wise man simply observes patterns and adjusts his investment accordingly. And that's what you owe yourself. Investment in clarity, not in illusion. If you're with a woman who passes both tests, treat that as the rare gift it is. A woman who guards the bond even in silence, who honors you even in independence, that's not common. That's gold. Don't take it for granted. Because in a world of temporary performances, finding consistency is the prize. And if she fails these tests, don't waste your life negotiating with red flags. Don't plead with someone's character to change. Clarity is painful, but it's merciful. It frees you to stop paying for loyalty that was only staged and start building with someone who lives by values. Men, your peace depends on who you allow close. Protect it like your future depends on it, because it does. If this gave you clarity, don't keep it to yourself. Hit subscribe, share this with a friend, and drop a comment about what resonated most. Awareness is your shield. Wisdom is your weapon. Use both, and you'll never look at love the same way again. You thought you had love, but what you really had was a performance. She played the role well, smiles, promises, maybe even affection. But something never felt solid. That emptiness you carried wasn't your imagination. It was the truth trying to break through. Because love can't be faked forever. And when it's not real, the cracks eventually show. If you've been left broken and confused, it's time to stop searching for what went wrong and start seeing what was missing. Today, I'll reveal 11 signs she never really loved you. These signs aren't about blame, they're about clarity. They'll give you the closure she never offered. And the very first sign explains why all your sacrifices fell on deaf ears. Number 1. She never appreciated your efforts. You bent over backwards trying to make it work. You apologized when you weren't even the one at fault. You stayed available around the clock, hoping that your presence would soften her indifference. You bought her gifts, you planned dates, you carried the weight of the relationship on your shoulders. But no matter how much you gave, it was never enough for her. She dismissed your gestures, minimized your sacrifices, and acted as if your devotion was owed to her. Here's the truth. When a woman truly loves a man, she doesn't overlook his effort. She sees it. She values it. She feels grateful that someone is willing to stand beside her and invest in her happiness. Appreciation is the natural language of love. Indifference, on the other hand, is a silent rejection. If she never once acknowledged what you did, never thanked you, never showed recognition, never made you feel like your sacrifices mattered, then you weren't in love. You were in servitude. And that's not romance, it's exploitation. The harsh reality is that love cannot survive in a vacuum of gratitude. Without recognition, your giving becomes draining, and your devotion turns into resentment. The fact that she let you pour yourself out without ever filling you back even a little is the clearest sign. She never loved you. She only consumed what you offered until you had nothing left. Number 2, she never considered your needs. In every healthy relationship, there's a balance. You give, and you also receive. Your needs matter just as much as hers. But when you were with her, your needs were treated like an inconvenience. The moment you voiced what you wanted, whether it was time, affection, or simple respect, she turned it against you. She accused you of being selfish, uncaring, or making everything about yourself. That's manipulation in its rawest form. Because love doesn't punish a man for having needs. Love listens. Love tries. A woman who genuinely cares about you will at least attempt to meet you halfway, even if she can't give you everything. She'll want to understand what matters to you, because your happiness matters to her. But in your story, she made your needs invisible. She put herself at the center, and you became nothing more than a supporting character in her play. And here's the brutal truth. If she never even paused to consider what you needed to feel fulfilled, then she never saw you as a partner. She saw you as a resource. Stop excusing it. Stop telling yourself you were too demanding. You weren't. You were asking for the bare minimum in love. To be acknowledged, to be considered, to be cared for. If she couldn't offer even that, then she never loved you. She loved herself, and only herself. Number 3, she never tried to resolve conflicts. Every couple fights. Disagreements are normal. What defines real love is not the absence of conflict, but the willingness to work through it. A woman who cares about you will argue, cry, negotiate. She'll do whatever it takes to protect the bond, because the relationship matters to her. But with her, it was different. Every argument ended in silence or blame. She never took responsibility, never sought resolution, never asked, "How do we fix this?" Instead, she let issues pile up until they poisoned everything between you. And while you were losing sleep trying to find solutions, she carried on like nothing happened. That's not love. That's indifference. A woman who loves you cannot stand to see you in pain. She cannot stand the distance created by unresolved conflict. But she was comfortable with it, comfortable with your hurt, comfortable with the cracks widening. Why? Because she wasn't invested in saving what you had. Here's the reality. Ignoring problems is its own answer. When someone refuses to repair, it's because they don't care if it breaks. And if she repeatedly walked away from conflict without making an effort to mend it, she wasn't protecting the relationship. She was letting it die. Don't mistake her silence for strength. Don't romanticize her avoidance as peace. It was neglect, and it proves she never loved you enough to fight for you. Number 4, she never talked about the future. Think back to your time with her. Did she ever ask where the relationship was heading? Did she ever talk about plans, commitments, or building something with you beyond the present moment? If the answer is no, that silence wasn't accidental. It was deliberate. Women who are genuinely in love don't stay vague about the future. They want to know if you're serious, if you see them as part of your long-term vision. Even the smallest gestures, mentioning trips, dreaming about a home, talking about marriage or children, are signs that she sees you as part of her life story. But if she constantly avoided the topic, changed the subject, or dismissed it with excuses, it's because she never intended to keep you in that picture. That avoidance wasn't about being carefree or going with the flow. It was about keeping you temporary. You were convenient in the moment, but never essential in her future. She didn't want to build. She just wanted to consume what you provided until she was ready to move on. The truth is brutal but clear. When a woman loves you, she cannot help but imagine tomorrow with you. And when she doesn't, when she resists every conversation about the future, you're not her partner, you're her placeholder. Stop pretending it was just bad timing. It wasn't. If she never saw you in her future, then she never truly loved you in the present. Number 5. She never valued you as a man. Love is more than attraction. It's about recognition, seeing who you are at your core and cherishing it. A woman who truly loves a man will admire his character, respect his strengths, and even accept his flaws. She'll encourage him to grow, not diminish him. She'll make him feel that his presence has meaning. But with her, it was different. Your talents went unnoticed. Your achievements were downplayed. The very qualities that make you unique, your drive, your humor, your resilience, meant nothing to her. Instead of celebrating who you are, she criticized, belittled, or simply ignored it. And when someone ignores your essence, what they're really telling you is this: they don't care about you, only about what you can provide. That's not love. That's disregard. A partner who truly loves you doesn't make you feel inadequate. She doesn't silence your voice or laugh at your dreams. She doesn't treat your identity as disposable. Real love amplifies your value. It never erases it. So, If you constantly felt invisible next to her, if you felt like no matter what you brought to the table, it was never acknowledged, then accept this painful truth: she didn't love you. Because a woman who loves you will make you feel seen, respected, and valued as a man. Anything less is not love. It's exploitation disguised as affection. Number 6, she never showed any jealousy. A little jealousy isn't toxic. It's natural. It's proof that someone cares enough to fear losing you. A woman in love doesn't have to be dramatic or possessive, but she will feel a spark of concern when another woman tries to get your attention. That spark is the heartbeat of love. But think about her. Did she ever flinch when you spoke to another woman? Did she ever show even the slightest discomfort when others admired you? Or did she sit there, unbothered, as if it didn't matter whether you belonged to her or to someone else? That wasn't confidence. That was detachment. When a woman truly values you, she protects her place in your life. She wants to keep her bond with you secure. But when she shows no reaction at all, when she's completely indifferent, it signals something harsh. You were never important enough to stir her emotions. Her lack of jealousy wasn't maturity, it was apathy. And here's the painful truth: a love that never reacts is not love at all. Because emotions can't stay silent when someone we care for is at risk of slipping away. If she didn't blink when your attention shifted, it wasn't strength, it was absence. So stop telling yourself she was just secure. No, she was detached. And if she didn't fear losing you, it's because she never truly felt you were hers to lose. Number 7, she wasn't there in your darkest moments. Love isn't tested when life is easy. Anyone can stay when the sun is shining. The real test comes in the storm, when you're down, broken, or struggling to hold yourself together. That's when you discover if she loves you, or if she only loves what you can give her. Think back. When you faced setbacks, losing a job, financial struggles, health scares, or moments of weakness, where was she? Did she stand by your side? Did she offer comfort, encouragement, or even just her presence? Or did she disappear, leaving you to face your battles alone? A woman who truly loves a man doesn't vanish when things get hard. She doesn't treat his pain as an inconvenience. She steps closer. She becomes his strength when he has none left. That's what commitment looks like. That's what love is built on. But if she wasn't there, if she distanced herself every time life tested you, then you were never her partner. You were her convenience. She was happy to share the sunshine, but never willing to endure the rain. Here's the hard truth. If she couldn't walk with you in the dark, she never deserved you in the light. Stop excusing her absence as she didn't know how to help. Love doesn't always have answers, but love never abandons. If she left you alone in your darkest hours, she never truly loved you. Number 8, she preferred others over you. In love, priority is everything. Who someone chooses to spend their time with reveals where their heart truly lies. A woman who loves you wants to share her world with you. Her free time, her celebrations, her ordinary moments. She doesn't constantly seek excuses to be elsewhere. But with her, you noticed a pattern. She always had time for friends, co-workers, or social events, yet somehow she never had time for you. Plans with you were negotiable, but plans with others were non-negotiable, and when you confronted her, she brushed it off, telling you not to be clingy or demanding. Here's the reality. Nobody is ever too busy for the person they truly care about. When you matter, they make space. When you don't, they fill their calendar with everyone else. Her behavior told you the truth long before her words did. You were not her priority. You were an option. And that stings, doesn't it? Because deep down, you gave her first place in your life while she kept you in the background of hers. That imbalance is not love. That's convenience. So stop deceiving yourself with excuses like she's just social or she values independence. A woman who loves you might enjoy her freedom, but she never lets you feel like a burden. If she consistently chose others over you, then you were never truly her choice at all. Number 9. She cut off all contact after the breakup. When two people share real love, even a breakup doesn't erase that bond overnight. There's usually a message, a call, a confrontation, something that shows the emotions were real, even if things didn't work out. Love leaves traces, even in its ending. But she vanished. No text, no call, no attempt to close the chapter. It was as if you never existed. That silence wasn't strength. It was indifference. Because when a woman loves you, she can't just erase you like a number from her phone. She feels the need to express the pain, the disappointment, the final goodbye. Her complete disappearance told you something deeper than words ever could. You didn't matter enough for her to look back. You were not a chapter she cherished. You were a page she ripped out without hesitation. And I know that realization cuts deep. You're left questioning if any of it was real. But here's the truth you need to face. If she could walk away without even a trace of emotion, she never truly loved you. Love demands closure. Love leaves echoes. Her silence wasn't healing. It was proof there was nothing genuine to begin with. So stop waiting for that message. Stop hoping for a sign. None is coming, because to her, there was nothing to lose. And that is the most painful, but also the most liberating truth. Number 10. She cared more about material things. Love isn't measured by gifts, money, or status. It's measured by how someone treats you when there's nothing material to gain. A woman who loves you will value your presence, your character, and your effort, not just the lifestyle you can provide. But with her, everything revolved around what you gave, not who you were. The dinners, the trips, the gifts. You noticed that her affection seemed to rise and fall with the size of your wallet. When you provided, she was satisfied. When you stopped, her interest faded. That's not love. That's a transaction. Think about it. Did she ever light up simply because of your smile? Or was it only when you pulled out your credit card? Did she ever spend quality time with you for the sake of connection? Or did she always need something material in exchange? If her affection had a price tag, then it was never affection. It was strategy. Here's the brutal truth. Love can't be bought. If she only stayed because of what you could fund, then you weren't her partner. You were her provider. And when the benefits dried up, so did her presence. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't call it her love language. Real love language is care, respect, support. What she practiced was opportunism, and if material things mattered more to her than your heart, then she never truly loved you. She only loved the lifestyle you could supply. Number 11. You never truly felt loved. Strip away all the excuses, all the rationalizations, all the moments you replay in your head, and focus on the truth you carry deep inside. From the very beginning, something felt missing. No matter how much effort you put in, no matter how much time you gave, you never felt truly loved. And that feeling matters more than anything else. Because when a woman loves you, you don't have to second guess it. You feel it in her touch, her words, her actions. You feel it in the way she looks at you, the way she shows up, the way she fights for you. Love is undeniable. It surrounds you. It strengthens you. It leaves no room for doubt. But with her, doubt was constant. You kept asking yourself if you were enough, if she really cared, if the relationship meant as much to her as it did to you. That uncertainty wasn't paranoia. It was truth trying to break through. Your soul knew the answer long before your mind wanted to admit it. The hardest reality to face is this. If you never felt loved, then you weren't loved. Real love doesn't hide. It doesn't leave you empty, questioning, or begging for scraps of affection. Real love makes you secure. And if you never had that, then the relationship was never love. It was an illusion. Accept it. Stop denying it. Because the moment you embrace this truth, you free yourself from the lie you've been living. When you step back and look at the full picture, the signs were always there. 11 undeniable truths that point to the same conclusion. She never really loved you, and I know that's hard to accept. It cuts deep. It feels like the ground has been pulled out from beneath your feet. But sometimes the harshest truth is also the one that sets you free. Because here's the reality. You don't lose when someone who never loved you walks away. You win clarity. You win back your dignity. You reclaim the time, energy, and devotion you were wasting on a woman who was never truly yours. The pain you feel right now isn't the pain of losing love. It's the pain of losing an illusion. And illusions are meant to be shattered. Don't let nostalgia trick you. Don't let loneliness convince you to romanticize what was never real. Love is not silence, neglect, or exploitation. Love doesn't vanish when life gets difficult. Love doesn't make you feel invisible. Love doesn't need to be begged for. If you had to question it every day, then it wasn't love. It was attachment, convenience, or manipulation. And now you know better. That knowledge is power. You are free to walk forward, free to demand more, free to only accept a love that lifts you up instead of draining you dry. The man who sees the truth cannot be fooled again. So let this be your wake-up call. Don't chase what's gone. Don't mourn what was never real. Step into your worth and refuse to settle for anything less than true love. If this message hit you, if it opened your eyes, then do something with it. Subscribe to this channel, share it with another man who needs to hear it, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let's make sure no man stays blind to the signs ever again. Every man thinks he's safe until he finds out he wasn't. She told you what you wanted to hear. She played the role perfectly, and because you were blinded by attraction, you missed the truth that was staring you in the face. Loyalty isn't about what she says, it's about what she shows. Ignore that reality, and you'll join the long list of men who thought their situation was different. I don't want that for you. Stay with me, because I'm going to reveal 10 signs she'll never be a loyal woman. Miss even one, and you could lose years of your life to the wrong person. As a psychologist and relationship coach, I've spent years studying how women reveal their loyalty, or their lack of it, without even realizing. That's why I want you to subscribe right now, so you don't miss the insights that could save you years of wasted time. And I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever been blindsided by a partner you thought was loyal? Share it in the comments because your story could help another man wake up. Now, let's get into the first sign, the most overlooked behavior that tells you if she's truly loyal or if she's a ticking time bomb. Number 1, she dresses like she's advertising herself. Let me be clear. There's a difference between style and strategy. Not every woman who dresses attractively is unfaithful. Some do it for fashion, self-expression, or simply because it makes them feel good. But a woman who constantly steps out in outfits that scream for attention isn't expressing creativity. She's broadcasting availability. Short skirts, deep cleavage, clothes so tight you can see her breakfast. This isn't fashion, it's marketing. And who is she marketing to? Not you, my friend. You already bought the product. That display is for every other man with a wandering eye. Now, she'll tell you the classic line. I dress for myself. That's the biggest lie men fall for. Nobody spends hours on hair, makeup, squeezing into uncomfortable shoes that tear their feet apart just to feel pretty. It's about supply and demand. Every glance from a stranger is a dopamine hit, a small rush that says, I still have options. And if she constantly needs that validation, your attention will never be enough. Here's the brutal truth. A woman who cannot survive without being seen by dozens of men will eventually seek more than just looks. When one source of attention runs dry, she'll need backups. You'll find yourself competing not with another man, but with the entire audience she's trying to captivate. And let me tell you, that is a competition you will never win. A loyal woman doesn't need a spotlight. She doesn't dress to prove her worth to strangers. She already knows who she belongs to, and she shows it by reserving her presence for you, not for the crowd. Number 2, her social media has become a stage. Look closely at her online world. If her Instagram looks less like a photo album and more like an audition tape, you're not in a relationship. You're watching a performance. Bikini shots, gym selfies cropped just right, endless stories designed to provoke thirsty comments. This isn't about memories. It's about building an audience. And make no mistake, an audience is never loyal to one fan. You'll hear the excuses. I just like sharing my life. Or, it's for my fitness journey. Don't get fooled. When every post is designed to highlight her body, when every angle screams, look at me, the purpose isn't documentation, it's marketing, just like we talked about before. And what comes with marketing? Leads, prospects, options. Here's the cold equation. When a woman consistently puts herself on display for public approval, she's essentially running an open competition. Today, you might be the winner, but tomorrow, someone else will place a better bid. That's not insecurity talking. That's simple math. Exposure plus attention eventually equals temptation. And pay attention to how she interacts with her followers. Responding with heart emojis, playful comments, inside jokes with men you've never met. Those aren't harmless. That's fuel. She's keeping the engine running with dozens of invisible suitors lined up behind the curtain. A loyal woman doesn't need a digital fan club. She doesn't need to broadcast her body for validation. She invests her energy into the relationship, not into strangers' news feeds. If her phone looks like a stage, then you're not her partner. You're just her current subscriber. Number 3. Her wild past never really disappears. Men love to believe they're the exception. You meet a woman who used to be out every weekend, closing down clubs, living for the thrill, and she tells you, that was the old me. I've grown up now. And you want to believe her. You want to think you're the reason she settled down. But let me tell you something most men don't want to hear. The party girl never dies. She only hibernates. Behavior creates wiring. The brain doesn't just forget years of chasing adrenaline, attention, and novelty. That thrill becomes part of her programming. It's like carving grooves into stone. Once they're there, they don't disappear. You can paint over it with routine, marriage, even children. But the moment stress hits, the paint thins, and the old patterns bleed through. Watch carefully. When life gets boring, when responsibilities pile up, when routine sets in, what does she crave? Suddenly, she needs a girls' night. Suddenly, she's reconnecting with old party friends. Suddenly, she's talking about how she misses feeling young. That's not nostalgia. That's a relapse waiting to happen. Here's the truth most men ignore. You don't reform a thrill seeker with stability. You only delay the inevitable. And who represents the ultimate routine more than a long-term partner? You. Which means eventually she'll look for that missing spark outside of you. A loyal woman doesn't need the chaos of her past to feel alive. But if her history is full of chasing excitement, understand this. It isn't history. It's a sleeping pattern waiting to wake up. And when it does, you'll realize she was never really finished with that life. She was just on intermission. Number 4. She has more male friends than female friends. On the surface, it might look harmless. She says, I just get along better with guys. And you nod, wanting to believe it. But deep down, you know something doesn't add up. Women understand women. If she can't maintain close female friendships, but somehow has a lineup of male companions, that's not coincidence, that's strategy. Here's the psychology. Men don't orbit around women for no reason. They're not there for long conversations about her favorite books. They're there because they're waiting for an opening. Every just friend is a potential replacement, a backup plan, an escape hatch she keeps warm in case things with you go cold. And she knows it, she enjoys it, she cultivates it. Notice the pattern. Her male friends comment on every photo, text her late at night, invite her places you're not included. That isn't friendship. That's a revolving door of suitors waiting for their turn. And by keeping those connections alive, she's essentially running what I call a loyalty prevention program. The truth is simple. Loyal women understand boundaries. They know that when you're in a committed relationship, most of those opposite-sex friendships fade away or transition into friendships you share as a couple. What they don't do is maintain a private roster of men cheering from the sidelines. If she has more male friends than female ones, you're not in a safe position. You're in a waiting room. And the men sitting around her aren't friends. They're candidates. Number 5. Every ex was the villain. Listen carefully to how she talks about her past relationships. If every single story ends the same way, he was abusive, he was a narcissist, he was the problem. You're not hearing her history, you're hearing her excuse for the future. Here's the psychology. Someone who refuses to take responsibility for failure never learns from it. And if she hasn't learned, she will repeat the same pattern. Only this time, you're the one cast in the role of the bad guy. It's already written into her script. When she cheats, when she disrespects you, when she moves on, it won't be her fault. It will be yours. She'll rewrite the story until you're the one who caused her pain, the one who didn't love her enough, the one who held her back. Sure, it's possible for someone to have 1 or 2 rough relationships. But when every ex is painted as a monster, the common denominator isn't the men, it's her. That's not bad luck. That's a refusal to face her own behavior. And here's what most men don't see. By rescuing a woman who always plays the victim, you're signing up to become her next villain. She doesn't need healing. She needs accountability. And if she hasn't taken it yet, she won't start with you. A loyal woman doesn't rewrite history to protect her ego. She owns her part, even when it hurts. But the eternal victim? She's already rehearsing the speech where you're the next name on her list of villains. Number 6. She craves drama and fears peace. A healthy relationship should feel calm, steady, even boring at times. But for some women, calm feels like death. They grew up in chaos, they got addicted to emotional roller coasters, and now their nervous system doesn't know how to survive without constant spikes of intensity. To them, peace isn't safety, it's emptiness. Watch her closely. When things are good between you two, does she suddenly pick fights over nothing? Does she create problems where none exist? Does she stir up tension just to feel alive? That's not passion. It's dysfunction. And for women wired this way, cheating isn't about your failures. It's about creating another high. Sneaking around, the danger of being caught, the thrill of the forbidden. This is all just fuel for their addiction to chaos. Here's the painful truth. The more stable you are, the more restless she becomes. You can give her love, money, security, and commitment. But if she's addicted to drama, your very stability will suffocate her. She'll look outside the relationship, not because she needs something you lack, but because she needs intensity you can't and shouldn't provide. A loyal woman knows how to appreciate peace. She can enjoy a quiet Sunday, a simple evening, a week without fireworks. But the drama addict, she'll destroy peace every time, and when the usual fights aren't enough anymore, she'll escalate. Cheating isn't a betrayal in her mind. It's just the next episode in her never-ending show. Number 7. She doesn't respect small boundaries. Pay attention to the little things. A woman who brushes off your simplest requests is giving you a preview of how she'll handle the bigger ones. If she checks your phone but refuses to let you touch hers. If she flirts with other men, but flips out when you talk to women. If she makes rules for you that don't apply to her. That's not equality, that's entitlement. Boundaries are like muscles. If someone can't lift the light weights, they won't be able to handle the heavy ones. If she can't respect "don't text your ex," then don't expect her to respect "don't betray this relationship." It's the same principle, just a different level of resistance. Watch how she reacts when you set even the smallest boundary. Does she respect it? Does she test it? Does she mock it? Or worse, does she flip it back on you and accuse you of being controlling? That reaction tells you everything. Because a loyal woman doesn't fight boundaries. She understands they're the guardrails that keep a relationship safe. The mistake most men make is ignoring these early signs, thinking it's just a small issue. But those small issues are practice runs for faithfulness. A woman who dismisses them is already showing you that rules don't apply to her. Here's the truth. If she can't pass the small tests, she will fail the big one. And the price you'll pay isn't a minor inconvenience. It's your trust, your peace, and eventually your relationship. Number 8. She moves too fast in love. It feels flattering at first. She tells you she loves you after just a few weeks. She wants to move in right away. She acts like you've been together for years when you've barely started. Most men mistake this intensity for passion. They think, she must really see something special in me. But here's the truth. She doesn't love you. She loves the idea of being in love. This behavior isn't romance, it's instability. Women who attach instantly also detach instantly. They're not choosing you after careful thought. They're grabbing onto whoever is available. That's not loyalty. That's fear of being alone. And fear-driven attachment always comes with overlap. She doesn't leave one man until she has another lined up, which means while she's with you, she's already scanning for the next lily pad to jump to. Here's what most men miss. If she fell for you overnight, she'll fall for someone else just as quickly. You're not unique, you're interchangeable. You're not the exception, you're just the current host for her need to avoid solitude. A loyal woman takes her time. She builds slowly, with intention. She doesn't confuse infatuation with commitment. But the instant girlfriend? She's like a firework, blazing bright at the start, gone in seconds. And when that flame dies, she won't stay to rebuild. She'll already be moving on to her next spark. Number 9. She constantly compares you to other men. It starts small. She mentions her ex was taller. She points out her friend's husband makes more money. She jokes about how some actor has better abs. At first, you brush it off. It sounds harmless. But understand what's really happening. Those comments aren't observations. They're measurements. She's keeping a mental scorecard, and you're in a competition you never agreed to enter. Here's the psychology. When someone truly chooses you, the comparison ends. You're not perfect, but you're hers. That's loyalty. But a woman who constantly compares is shopping. She's evaluating. She's keeping her options open under the disguise of casual remarks. And today you might be winning, but the game never stops. Watch how this escalates. At first, it's subtle. Jake's girlfriend is so lucky he cooks for her. Then it becomes direct. Why can't you be more like that? And eventually, it turns into justification. Marcus appreciates me more than you do. What she doesn't tell you is that Marcus is already the man she's emotionally investing in. The danger here isn't just jealousy, it's erosion. Comparison eats away at gratitude. If she's always scanning the horizon for someone better, she will never fully value what's in front of her. A loyal woman doesn't treat her relationship like a marketplace. She doesn't weigh you against every man she meets. She chooses once and for all. But the comparison queen? She never stops choosing, and one day she'll choose herself right out of your life. Number 10. She keeps parts of her life hidden from you. There's a difference between privacy and secrecy. Privacy is normal. We all deserve our own space. But secrecy is deliberate. It's compartmentalization. And when a woman builds walls between you and entire sections of her life, you're not her partner. You're just a guest in one of her many worlds. Pay attention to the signs. Her phone is always face down, locked with codes you don't know. She has social media accounts you've never seen. She talks about friends you've never met. She disappears into work or girls' nights that somehow never include you. This isn't independence. It's insulation. She's constructing multiple versions of herself, and you only have access to the one she allows. Here's the reality. Loyal women are open books, not because they have to be, but because they have nothing to hide. If her phone dies, she can hand you hers without thinking. Her friends know you. Her online life includes you. Her storylines match up no matter who's listening. But the secret keeper lives a double life. And double lives always collapse, usually on top of the man who trusted her. She'll frame it as, I just need my privacy, but don't be fooled. Those compartments aren't about healthy space. They're about undisclosed activity. If she's separating her life into locked boxes, ask yourself why. Because the truth is, when loyalty exists, integration follows naturally. And when secrecy rules, betrayal is only a matter of time. You've just heard the 10 clearest signs that a woman will never be loyal. If you recognized more than one of them in the woman you're with, don't brush it off. That's not coincidence. That's a pattern. And patterns don't lie. Here's the part most men hate to face. You cannot transform disloyalty into loyalty. Love doesn't reform it. Commitment doesn't fix it. Sacrifice doesn't heal it. Trying to build loyalty in a woman who lacks it is like trying to build a house on quicksand. You can pour in all the effort and resources you want, but the foundation will always collapse beneath you. And this is where you have to turn the mirror on yourself. Because the real danger isn't just her behavior, it's your blindness. It's the way you saw the signs and ignored them. The way you painted red flags green because you wanted the fantasy more than the truth. That's the moment you stopped being a victim and became a volunteer. Loyalty isn't something you teach, bargain for, or earn. It's a core trait. Women who are loyal don't need to be convinced. They've always been loyal, and they don't know how to be anything else. The tragedy is that too many men waste years trying to rehabilitate women who never had that foundation to begin with. So here's the challenge. Stop trying to change what's unchangeable. Raise your standards. Walk away from poison, no matter how attractive the bottle looks. And understand that being alone is far less painful than being betrayed. If this video woke you up, then do something about it. Subscribe now so you never miss these truths that can save you years of heartbreak. Hit like if this spoke to you, and share it with a friend who might be ignoring the same signs. And drop a comment with your story, because your lesson might be the warning that saves another man's future. Your next move is in your hands. Choose wisely. What makes one woman stay true while another destroys everything you've built? It's not random, and it's not fate. It's in the choices she makes every single day. One respects the bond, even when tempted. The other uses temptation as an excuse to betray. Most men can't tell the difference until the damage is already done. But you don't have to be blind. There are 7 signs that separate women who stay from women who stray. And once you know them, you'll finally see who's by your side and who's waiting to stab you in the back. Now, I'll show you the very first sign that exposes a woman's true nature. and it's not what most men expect. Number 1. Look at how she handles emotional responsibility. This is where the first cracks always show. A disloyal woman will rarely, if ever, admit her role in the problems inside the relationship. Every fight, every cold silence, every disappointment somehow becomes your fault. She points the finger at boredom, at routine, at your supposed lack of attention. And here's the painful truth. Many men accept it. They take on the weight of every flaw, thinking if they just try harder, if they just give more, things will get better. But that's the trap. A loyal woman experiences the same temptations, the same frustrations, but she has something the other never developed: self-control. She respects the bond enough to confront discomfort rather than escape it. She has the maturity to say, "This bothers me," instead of letting resentment rot in silence. The difference may sound subtle, but it's not. One woman shifts the blame, the other takes ownership. One destroys trust by refusing to face herself. The other builds respect by being honest. Imagine the pain of carrying a relationship on your shoulders while she walks free of responsibility. That invisible weight crushes a man's confidence. Over time, he stops trusting his own judgment because every argument ends with him apologizing for things he didn't even do. That erosion is deadly to a man's self-respect. If you want to know who you're truly dealing with, stop listening to excuses and start watching how she responds when she's called out. Does she deflect or does she reflect? Does she twist the narrative or does she own her part? Emotional responsibility isn't just a detail. It's the root system of loyalty. A woman who refuses to hold herself accountable is already halfway out the door. You just haven't seen it yet. Number 2. Pay attention to how she handles closeness when things get uncomfortable. A woman who is not loyal doesn't break away overnight. She withdraws little by little. She goes cold in conversations, avoids eye contact, disappears for hours with vague excuses. She laughs with friends but falls silent with you. You feel her body next to yours, but her mind has already walked away. That is not harmless distance. It's the slow suffocation of intimacy. And here's the worst part. Many men sense it, but choose to ignore it. They tell themselves she's just stressed, just busy, just tired. But deep down, they feel the chill. They feel the way she no longer leans in when she talks, the way she suddenly guards her phone, the way she avoids serious discussions. These are not random mood swings. They are signals of emotional escape. A loyal woman doesn't vanish when tension rises. She faces the uncomfortable truth, even if it stings. She sits down, looks you in the eye, and says, "Something feels off." She doesn't hide behind silence because she knows silence is poison. Her loyalty isn't about perfection, it's about courage. Courage to stay present even when the conversation cuts deep. Picture the man who ignores the red flags. He keeps waiting for her warmth to return, waiting for the affection that used to feel natural. But instead of honesty, he gets distance. That emotional abandonment is one of the most painful betrayals because you're still there, trying, while she's already halfway gone. So ask yourself this. When she feels unhappy, does she disappear into coldness or does she bring it to the table? Does she pull away like a ghost or does she lean in to work things out? That difference decides whether you're building trust or waiting for the inevitable collapse. Number 3. Watch the way she tests you. Every woman will test a man at some point. It's part of human insecurity. But the difference lies in her intention. A disloyal woman doesn't test to connect. She tests to manipulate. She thrives on emotional chaos. She throws out little traps, complimenting another man in front of you, comparing you to her ex, poking at your weaknesses just to see if you'll lose control. Then she sits back and watches your reaction like it's a game. If you explode, she loses respect. If you stay quiet and take it, she still loses respect. It's a rigged system. You can't win because the point isn't love, it's power. A loyal woman may test too, but her tests are rooted in vulnerability, not destruction. She might say, "Do you still find me attractive?" Or, "I miss how we used to spend time." Her goal is reassurance, not control. She challenges you to step closer, not to tear you down. That's the crucial difference most men miss. The danger of falling for manipulative tests is not just the momentary conflict. It's the erosion of your masculine identity. When you accept devaluation, when you tolerate constant comparisons, you unconsciously tell her it's acceptable to keep chipping away at you. Over time, you don't even recognize yourself. Think about it. A woman who truly respects you will challenge you to grow, but never in a way that humiliates you. A woman who plans to betray will provoke until you break, because breaking you is how she convinces herself she's still in control. The line is clear if you're willing to see it. Are her tests coming from insecurity or from manipulation? From a desire for closeness or a hunger for chaos? That answer will tell you exactly which path your relationship is heading down. Number 4. Listen carefully to the way she talks about her past. A disloyal woman rarely admits the full story. Her history is a patchwork of vague explanations and edited details. Ask her about an ex and she shrugs. It was complicated. Press for more and she dodges. That's in the past, it doesn't matter. But here's the truth. It always matters, because patterns repeat. If she never faced her mistakes, she's likely to carry them straight into the next chapter. And guess what? That next chapter could be you. A loyal woman doesn't need to paint a perfect picture. She owns her scars. She can tell you where she went wrong, what she learned, and how she's different now. Her honesty might sting, but it's real. She doesn't hide behind denial because she knows growth only comes from acknowledging the mess. That's why her past feels clear. You can see the progression from immaturity to maturity. That's a woman who has built character. Now imagine discovering too late that her friend was actually an old flame she never let go of. Or realizing every breakup in her history ended with the same vague excuse. That's not coincidence, that's a cycle. And men who ignore these red flags often wake up to the painful realization that they weren't chosen for love. They were just filling a familiar role in her repeated drama. When you pay attention, the signs are always there. A woman who hides, evades, or changes her story, depending on who's asking, is revealing more than she thinks. She's telling you she hasn't processed her past, she hasn't grown from it, and she hasn't left it behind. The question you must ask isn't just, what happened before me? It's, what did she learn from it? Because a woman who refuses to face her past doesn't rewrite her story. She simply relives it with a new character. And unless you're careful, that character could be you. Number 5. Watch how she treats flirting. For a disloyal woman, flirting isn't harmless fun. It's her social currency. She flirts at work, on social media, with strangers at the bar. It's how she feeds her ego. She thrives on the looks, the attention, the little rush of knowing she still has options. And here's the brutal truth. She doesn't stop when she's in a relationship. In fact, sometimes she doubles down, using her connection with you as proof of her desirability to other men. A loyal woman sees flirting differently. She knows that every glance, every playful comment, every innocent laugh at the wrong time carries weight. She values discretion because she respects the trust you've built. That doesn't mean she's invisible. It means she's intentional. She understands that too much energy aimed outward eventually cracks what's inside. Now picture this. You're standing right next to her, and she's giggling with another man, leaning in just a little too close. You feel that knot in your chest, the sting of humiliation. But when you bring it up, she says, Relax, I'm just being friendly. That's not friendliness. That's devaluation disguised as charm, and if you ignore it, it becomes the new normal. Men often confuse charisma with loyalty. They think a woman who craves constant male attention is just social. But there's a razor-thin line between being social and being on the market. A woman who is truly loyal will never make her partner question where her loyalty lies. She knows the difference between confidence and carelessness. Flirting isn't always cheating, but it opens doors that should never be opened, and a woman who treats it as a lifestyle is always testing the market, even when she claims she's committed. The question you must ask isn't whether she's physically unfaithful yet. It's whether her behavior shows emotional loyalty. Because once respect slips, betrayal isn't far behind. Number 6. Pay attention to how she talks about freedom. A disloyal woman loves to wave the freedom flag, but not because she values independence. It's because she wants a shield to hide behind. She'll say things like, "I don't owe anyone an explanation," or "I'm free, I can do whatever I want." On the surface, it sounds confident. In reality, it's just a loophole. It's a way to justify disappearing for hours, chatting with other men online, posting provocative pictures, and then flipping the script when you ask about it. Suddenly, you're the problem. You're jealous, you're insecure, you're the one trying to control her. A loyal woman values freedom too, but she understands that real freedom comes with responsibility. She knows that being in a relationship doesn't mean being trapped. It means being committed. Her independence is steady, not reckless. She respects time, boundaries, and space because she recognizes that freedom without responsibility is just chaos dressed up as empowerment. Now imagine the emotional trap of being called controlling just because you asked for respect. You're not demanding ownership. You're drawing a boundary. But if she twists that into weakness, you start doubting yourself. You walk on eggshells, afraid to be labeled insecure, while she keeps pushing limits. That confusion destroys trust faster than any argument. True freedom builds connection. It says, "I choose to be with you, and I don't need to test the limits to prove it." Fake freedom tears it down. It hides shady behavior behind a mask of independence. And here's the key. A woman who truly respects herself won't need to remind you she's free. Her actions will show maturity, not manipulation. So when she talks about freedom, listen carefully. Is she using it as an excuse to avoid accountability? Or does she see freedom as a way to strengthen the bond? The answer will reveal whether she's building trust or quietly dismantling it while you're left defending yourself against accusations that were never yours to carry. Number 7. Watch how she handles conflict and even how she reacts to compliments. This is where the mask usually slips. A disloyal woman cannot stand the heat of emotional pressure. When tension rises, she doesn't step forward. She steps away. She shuts down, disappears, avoids the hard conversations. Sometimes she's physically present, but emotionally absent, cold, indifferent, numb. That silence isn't peace, it's punishment. It's how she escapes responsibility without ever saying the words. A loyal woman doesn't vanish when things get hard. She may not like conflict, but she respects it as part of real love. She'll argue, she'll cry, she'll say what hurts, but she stays. Because she knows leaving the table doesn't solve anything. It's in the storm where loyalty proves itself. Now let's add another layer, how she responds to compliments. A woman who is not loyal craves them like oxygen. Every like, every message, every stare across the room fuels her ego. She depends on male validation, the way a smoker depends on nicotine. If you don't praise her enough, she resents you. That hunger doesn't stop. It grows until she looks for it elsewhere. Contrast that with a loyal woman. Of course, she appreciates compliments, but they don't define her. She doesn't need 100 strangers to tell her she's beautiful to believe in her worth. Her calm energy doesn't shift depending on who notices her. And because she doesn't need outside approval to feel secure, she doesn't put her partner in a constant state of doubt. Think of the damage when both conflict and validation become weapons. When she disappears during arguments and feeds off outside praise, a man slowly loses himself. He questions his role, his value, even his sanity. That erosion doesn't happen overnight. It happens through silence and hunger for attention. So pay attention to these two windows, conflict and compliments. They reveal more about her loyalty than 1,000 promises. If she runs from the storm and chases external validation, she's not building trust. She's breaking it, piece by piece. Now let's go beyond the differences and talk about your strategy as a man. Recognizing the signs is powerful, but knowledge without action is useless. Too many men see the red flags, feel the distance, and still choose silence. They convince themselves it will change, that she'll come back around, that love alone will fix it. But silence doesn't protect you. It weakens you. Every day you excuse manipulation or disrespect, you're teaching yourself to settle for less than you deserve. The first strategy is simple but hard. Set boundaries early and clearly. If she dodges responsibility, call it out. If she flirts for attention, don't laugh it off. Address it. Boundaries are not about control. They're about self-respect. A woman who truly values you will respect those lines. A woman who doesn't will fight them, twist them, or shame you for drawing them. That reaction tells you more than her words ever could. Second, focus on patterns, not promises. Anyone can promise loyalty, but behavior reveals the truth. Watch what she does when pressure rises, how she treats your presence, how she explains her past. Patterns are more honest than intentions. Third, stop carrying the relationship alone. If you're the only one working, the only one fighting for stability, you're not in a partnership. You're in captivity. And the longer you stay, the more you shrink. Freedom comes from admitting when you're the only one holding the weight. And finally, accept this truth. You cannot control loyalty. That choice is hers. What you can control is how quickly you recognize the warning signs and how firmly you protect your dignity. That's the difference between being drained for years and walking away with your self-respect intact. So don't just study these differences. Live by them. Use them as a compass. Because the man who protects his emotional space is the man who never has to beg for loyalty again. You've seen it clearly now. The differences between a woman who stays and a woman who strays aren't hidden in the shadows. They're in plain sight, written into how she handles responsibility, how she deals with distance, how she tests you, how she speaks about her past, how she flirts, how she defines freedom, and how she faces conflict. None of these are small details. They're the foundation on which loyalty or betrayal is built. The danger isn't that these signs don't exist. The danger is that most men refuse to see them until it's too late. They tell themselves it's just stress, or just a phase, or just part of love. But love without awareness is blind. And blindness in a relationship doesn't protect you. It traps you. Here's the truth. You can't stop a woman from making her choice. Loyalty can't be demanded. But what you can do is sharpen your vision, strengthen your boundaries, and refuse to carry a relationship that's built on excuses and manipulation. That's not control. It's self-respect. So I'll ask you directly, are you going to ignore what you've just learned, or are you going to use it as armor? The difference between years of wasted time and a future of strength starts with that choice. If this video opened your eyes, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with another man who needs to wake up before it's too late. Hit the like button, subscribe, and drop a comment with the words, Now I see clearly. That way, I'll know you're part of the men who are no longer walking blind. And remember this, you may never control who a woman decides to be, but you can always control how you respond. That control, that calm, unshakable awareness is the real freedom of a man. Every man has asked himself this question in silence. Does she really love me? Or am I just wasting my time? It's the doubt that eats away at your confidence, the thought that keeps you up at night. And here's the truth. If you don't know the signs, you'll never have the answer. Women don't always speak their heart, but they always reveal it in what they do. That's why today, I'm going to give you the 12 things women only do for the men they truly love. By the end of this video, you'll know if her love is real or if you've been fooling yourself all along. You're here because deep down, you already sense something. Maybe she loves you, maybe she doesn't, but you want the truth. And trust me, you're not alone. Men everywhere face the same doubt. So before we dive deeper, subscribe, hit like, and drop a quick comment below. Have you ever felt unsure about her feelings? Write yes or no. Because what's coming next will either confirm your fear or give you the reassurance you've been waiting for. Number 1. She introduces you to her friends and family. When a woman truly loves a man, she doesn't hide him in the shadows. She wants the people who matter most in her life to know who you are. Think about it. If she's keeping you away from her family, if she avoids posting you on social occasions, if she never mentions your name in conversations with her closest circle, what does that really mean? It means she hasn't chosen you with pride. Love has no need for secrecy. When a woman loves you, she naturally wants to blend her world with yours. She doesn't feel embarrassed to say, "This is my man." Instead, she feels proud to stand beside you, because to her, you're not just someone she's dating, you're someone she's investing her emotions and her future into. Now, let me give it to you straight. If she keeps you hidden, you're not the main character in her story, you're just a placeholder, and that's dangerous. A woman who truly loves will bridge the gap between your world and hers. She'll invite you to meet her family, not just as a guest, but as someone who belongs. When a woman brings you into her inner circle, it's more than an introduction, it's a declaration. She's saying, "You're not temporary, you're part of my life." Number 2, she invests time and stays through the long haul. Every man needs to understand this. Time is the ultimate test of love. Anyone can play sweet for a few weeks, even a few months. But when challenges show up, when the excitement fades and real life begins, that's when you see who's really there for you. A woman who truly loves you doesn't vanish when things get inconvenient. She doesn't disappear the moment you stop entertaining her, or when life throws struggles at you. Instead, she stays. She shows up when you're sick, when you're broke, when you're doubting yourself. That's the kind of loyalty that can't be faked. Here's the truth. Women who are only in it for fun or convenience will cut ties once they get what they want. They'll leave you hanging, confused about what went wrong. But the woman who genuinely loves you doesn't measure the relationship by what she can extract from you. She measures it by what you can build together. The long haul is not glamorous. It's messy, it's unpredictable, and it requires sacrifice. And when a woman endures all of that with you, without flinching, it's because her love is anchored in something real. A woman who stays through the storms is not just with you, she has chosen you. And in love, that choice means everything. Number 3, she confides in you deeply. Pay attention here, because this is one of the clearest signs of real love. When a woman opens up her world to you, she isn't just talking, she's surrendering a part of herself that she doesn't show to anyone else. A woman in love doesn't just tell you about what she ate for lunch or how stressful her day was. She reveals her fears, her childhood scars, her dreams, and the insecurities she hides from the rest of the world. That level of honesty isn't casual, it's sacred. And if she chooses to share it with you, it means she sees you as more than a boyfriend. She sees you as a partner she can trust with her soul. Here's the reality. If she doesn't love you, she won't risk being vulnerable. She'll keep conversations shallow. She'll deflect when things get serious, and she'll never let you close enough to see the truth. Trust is expensive, and a woman only spends it on the man she loves. When she confides in you, she's not just sharing information, she's testing your ability to protect her heart. How you respond to her honesty determines whether she feels safe to keep building with you. If she gives you her deepest truths, understand this: you're not just in her life, you're inside her heart. Number 4. She prioritizes time with you over friends. A woman's schedule is the clearest reflection of her values. No matter how busy she is, no matter how many people demand her attention, a woman in love finds a way to make time for the man who matters most. This doesn't mean she abandons her friends or isolates herself from her circle. Balance is healthy, and you should never expect her to cut everyone else off. But notice the pattern. If you consistently come second to her social life, if you always have to fight for a place in her calendar, then understand this: she hasn't placed you at the center of her priorities. A woman who loves you will cancel plans when you truly need her. She'll choose to spend a quiet night with you instead of chasing constant excitement with others. Not because she's forced to, but because being with you brings her more fulfillment than being anywhere else. Men often ignore this detail, but it's critical. When she values your presence above everything else, she's showing you where her heart truly belongs. If, on the other hand, she constantly chooses the party, the friends, the distractions, then you're just another option, not her choice. Time is the most expensive gift she can give you. When she offers it freely, without hesitation, that's love in action. Number 5. She feels comfortable not being perfect around you. In the beginning of a relationship, most women put on their best face. Perfect makeup, polished words, flawless behavior. It's all part of the performance to impress. But love strips away the performance. When a woman loves you, she no longer feels the need to pretend. She lets you see her without the mask. She's not afraid for you to catch her on a bad day, in sweatpants with messy hair. She doesn't panic if her jokes fall flat, or if she reveals quirks that others might find strange. Around you, she breathes easier because she knows she doesn't have to earn your acceptance. It's already there. Here's the cold truth. If she's always on, if she never shows you her raw side, then she doesn't feel safe enough to be herself with you. And that means her heart hasn't chosen you completely. Perfection is exhausting, and no one can keep it up forever. When she loves you, she trusts you with the unpolished version of herself. She trusts that you'll still see her beauty beyond the presentation. Understand this: when a woman drops her guard, it isn't carelessness, it's intimacy. She's showing you her reality, not her performance. And if she's willing to be real with you, that's love, speaking louder than words ever could. Number 6, she stops entertaining other men. This is a line every man needs to pay attention to. Before she chose you, she may have had plenty of options: men calling, texting, trying to take her out. But when a woman falls in love, those other voices fade into the background. She no longer needs the validation, the attention, or the thrill of knowing other men want her. Because in her mind, she has already found the one who matters. If she's still flirting, still keeping backup plans, still leaving the door open for other men to walk in, then hear me clearly. You are not her priority. You're just one of many. A woman in love doesn't juggle candidates, she commits. Some men fool themselves by ignoring the signs. They see the suspicious messages, the constant attention from strangers, and they pretend it's harmless. But love doesn't leave room for competition. If she's serious about you, she'll make it clear to the world and to herself that her energy belongs to one man, you. The truth is simple. When she stops entertaining other men, it's not just about exclusivity. It's about respect. She's saying, I've chosen you, and I don't need anyone else. That's not weakness. That's loyalty. And if you don't see that shift, you need to ask yourself if she's really chosen you at all. Number 7. She sees you in her future. A woman in love doesn't just think about the present moment. She envisions tomorrow, and you're standing right there beside her. Pay close attention to how she talks about the future. Does she include you in her plans, or are you always absent from the picture? When she loves you, she naturally imagines life with you in it. She'll talk about the kind of home she wants to live in, the trips she dreams of taking together, even the family she hopes to build. She doesn't speak in terms of me. She speaks in terms of we. That's not casual talk. That's her heart projecting commitment. On the other hand, if every conversation about the future excludes you, that's not an accident. It's a warning. She's keeping her options open because she doesn't see you as permanent. And if you're honest with yourself, you'll feel that absence. Here's the truth. Women don't fantasize about men they don't value. They don't invest their imagination in someone temporary. If she's painting a future with you, it's because she's already chosen to build her life around you. So listen carefully. If her future has space for you, it's not just a dream. It's her way of telling you, I want you in my forever. Number 8. She shares every detail of her life with you. When a woman loves you, you become the first person she thinks about, whether something good happens, something bad, or even something trivial. You're the one she wants to celebrate with, the one she wants to cry to, the one she wants to tell every random story to. This is not about oversharing for the sake of talking. It's about intimacy. When she loves you, her instinct is to weave you into the fabric of her daily life. Every detail she shares is her way of saying, I want you to be part of my world. It means she values your perspective, your reaction, your presence in even the smallest corners of her existence. Here's the sharp truth. If she keeps you out of her daily narrative, she hasn't let you all the way in. If you only get fragments, if she hides important parts of her day or her struggles, then you're not the man she trusts with her whole self. Pay attention, because this is how women bond. Love makes her want to connect with you from sunrise to midnight, and when you become her first call, her last message, and the constant thread running through her day, that's no accident. That's her heart choosing you again and again. Number 9, she looks past your flaws. Every man has weaknesses, bad habits, mistakes, insecurities. We all carry them. The question is not whether you're perfect, but whether she's willing to stay even after seeing the imperfections. When a woman truly loves you, she doesn't pretend your flaws don't exist. She sees them clearly, but she chooses to look beyond them. She doesn't excuse destructive behavior, but she has the patience to work through the rough edges with you. She believes in the man you are becoming, not just the man you are today. That belief is powerful. It gives you the drive to rise, to improve, to become someone better because she saw potential where others only saw problems. Here's the cold reality. If she doesn't love you, your flaws will be her exit door. The moment things get inconvenient, she'll use your shortcomings as a reason to walk away. Love, however, doesn't walk at the first sign of imperfection. Love leans in. Love stays when it's easier to leave. Understand this. Her patience with your flaws is not weakness. It's commitment. It's her way of saying, I know you're not perfect, but I still choose you. And in a world where people abandon each other for less, that kind of loyalty is rare. Number 10. She remembers the little things that matter to you. Love is not proven in grand gestures. It's revealed in the details. A woman who truly loves you pays attention, not just to the big events, but to the subtle preferences, the small remarks, the hidden details that most people overlook. She remembers the song you played on your worst day because it lifted your spirit. She remembers the way you take your coffee, the story behind your scar, or the exact date you achieved something important. These details may seem small to you, but to her, they are priceless. Why? Because they come from listening with intention, and listening is love in action. Here's the truth. A woman who doesn't love you won't store those details in her memory. She might nod, she might smile, but she won't carry it with her. If you constantly feel forgotten, it's because you were never truly prioritized. But when she recalls the little things, when she surprises you with her memory of what you thought was insignificant, she's sending a powerful message. I see you, I value you, I carry you with me. Never underestimate this. Love lives in the details, and when she remembers them, it means you've carved out a permanent place in her heart. Number 11. She proudly calls you her man. A woman who truly loves you doesn't hesitate to let the world know where she stands. She doesn't hide you behind vague labels like a friend or someone I know. She claims you openly, without fear, without hesitation. And that public acknowledgement matters more than most men realize. When she introduces you as her man, she's drawing a line. She's telling other men that her heart is spoken for, and she's signaling to her circle that you are more than temporary. This isn't just about words, it's about ownership of the relationship. Love isn't ashamed to be seen. But here's the cold truth. If she avoids putting a name to what you are, if she keeps you in the shadows while presenting herself as single to the world, you're not her chosen one. You're her option, her safety net, her convenience. And a man who ignores that reality will end up trapped in a one-sided fantasy. A woman in love doesn't just feel it in private, she confirms it in public. When she says, "This is my man," she's not making a casual remark, she's declaring her loyalty. And in a time where so many people fear commitment, a woman who proudly claims you is revealing just how deeply she's invested. Number 12. She compromises for the relationship. Love is not about one person always getting their way. It's about meeting in the middle. A woman who truly loves you will not stubbornly cling to her pride at the expense of your bond. She's willing to bend, to adjust, and to sacrifice small comforts if it means building something stronger with you. This doesn't mean she abandons her values. Real compromise never asks her to betray who she is at the core. But it does mean she's willing to shift her schedule, reconsider her habits, or even confront her fears, all because she believes the relationship is worth it. That's not weakness, it's strength. It's a sign that her love for you outweighs her desire to always be right. Here's the sharp truth. If she refuses to compromise on anything, then you're not building a partnership. You're stuck in a power struggle. And power struggles don't nurture love. They destroy it. But when a woman chooses to compromise, she's sending you a powerful message. She's saying, "I care enough about us to change, to grow, and to put our future above my ego." That's what makes relationships last. Not perfection, but the willingness to adapt together. A woman who compromises for you has proven one thing beyond doubt. She's not just in love with the idea of being with you, she's in love with the reality of building with you. You've just walked through the 12 undeniable signs that reveal whether a woman truly loves you. These aren't abstract theories. They are behavioral truths, actions that speak louder than words. And if you're honest with yourself, you already know where your situation stands. Here's the reality. Love is not hidden. It doesn't make excuses. It doesn't keep you waiting in confusion. And it doesn't leave you second-guessing your worth. If she shows you these 12 signs, you don't have to wonder. You already have your answer. She's invested, she's chosen you, and she's showing it every single day through what she does, not just what she says. But if you notice the opposite, if she hides you, keeps her options open, avoids vulnerability, or refuses to compromise, you need to face the truth. You're not her priority. And the longer you ignore that, the more you risk losing your time, your energy, and your self-respect. This is your wake-up call. Don't chase illusions. Don't settle for being a placeholder in someone else's life. You deserve more than that. And if you've been blessed with a woman who demonstrates most of these signs, then honor that by being the man who matches her loyalty and commitment. Because real love is rare, and when you find it, you don't take it for granted. Now, here's what I want you to do. Take a hard look at your relationship through the lens of these 12 truths. If you see her in them, hold her close. If you don't, it's time to ask yourself why you're still there. And if this message hit you, don't just walk away and forget it. Subscribe right now, because every video here is another weapon for your mind. Tools to help you take back control, protect your heart, and never again settle for less than you deserve. Share this with another man who needs the truth. Leave your thoughts in the comments. And remember, the power in love belongs to the man who sees clearly and acts with strength.